Hi folks, it's Riley here from the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club, and here we are on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in June, and I'm following Gabriel, who is a friend of Jason's, on his little 200, and on this day we had an interesting crew because I was there on the 701 Husqvarna. Marc was there on his Africa Twin. Marc-Olivier was there on his DR650. And Marc-Olivier had brought a friend, Guillaume, who also had an Africa Twin. And Jason was also around on his KTM 500 EXC. And he had brought Gabriel with him on the Blue 200. So we set off for a very relaxed ride with no intentions of doing anything extreme. So we headed to one of our favorite haunts near the Scotch Road, and this old gravel, I believe it's an abandoned rail line, and we were zooming along, and there'd been a lot of rain, so we definitely noticed there was more water than usual.
Yeah, the water level may be a little higher.
After splashing around for a bit, we got to our first little obstacle, which we all call the pipes.
You see where I am out here? It's a little shallower. Oh, it's slippery. It's also slippery.
Gabriel and I were the only two who had intercom, so we had paired up. Here you can hear me giving Gabriel some advice.
Yeah, and don't drop it. That's my big advice. Hi-ya.
Of course, that would turn out to be really good advice.
You got her. When the bike gets quiet, you know it's deep. Woo!
But Gabriel made it through with flying colors and no drama. The rest of the boys had taken some time to empty their boots. And then it was Marc-Olivier's time on the mighty DR with the big gas tank. And as he got in about 10 feet, it just seemed to run out of steam.
Oh, I miss Henrik.
And then we were all treated to the distinctive sound of a DR650 starter motor.
Is it douche rope time?
And yes, it was douche rope time, so in we went.
We got the douche rope. Because if you're on the end of this rope, hey, that's some good current, boys.
So, in short order, we got the douche rope snapped on. And then with the three of us pulling, we started to notice there was quite a bit of resistance. And since this is not our first rodeo, we realized pretty quick that a DR does not weigh 900 pounds. And we asked Marc-Olivier to please put it in neutral.
Yep. That makes it easier.
And that drastically speeded up the process.
We pulled the bike all the way across Black Lake in gear.
We had the DR onto dry ground in a minute or so, and then we set about diagnosing this mysterious starting problem, which turned out to be the dreaded petcock in the off position. So we got that sorted out pretty quick. Now that everybody's bike was running again and everybody's boots were empty, we set off. I was in the lead, and I kind of wanted to zoom ahead here and see how deep these upcoming crossings were going to be. So I wanted to get a little bit of a lead on the others, and then I thought I might also get a chance to pull out the camera and see what's going on. And I could see already here with the water on the trail that things were deeper than usual. And I came to this spot, which is usually not like this, and I went in relatively daintily, and then the front tire hit something and down I went, and I mean down I went.
Now we're in trouble.
And then I was trying to lift up the bike, and it was the most bizarre thing. The bike was actually floating. So I could not get it to stand up on the wheels because the bike just kept moving away from me. So finally, I resigned myself to the fact that it couldn't possibly get any wetter. And here you can see that bike is floating. When the extra muscle finally arrived, we were able to get it up on 2 wheels and get it out of there. And at this point, I was not feeling too good because I knew for sure that bike was full of water.
No, it was just a rock. I was going slow, and I think my front wheel just hit a rock, and when I went to give it more gas, I stalled it, and whoosh, and I went to put my foot out, and there was nothing there. We'll get her started.
So here we are in the middle of Black Lake, about to crank and watch for water spitting out.
You ready?
Go for it.
This is the first time I've ever taken the spark plug out of this bike, and luckily Jason had the right spark plug wrench because I had bought one and I don't know where I put it. But we never would have got the spark plug out without Jason's magical mini spark plug socket. And then it was a matter of hitting the switch. We'd already turned the bike upside down and emptied the airbox out. We didn't get any footage of that because all of us were pretty much holding the bike upside down. Yep. And then once I hit that starter button...
There she goes!
Holy shit!
Yeah, baby!
So we still have rings.
Nice.
That hit me in the stomach.
Don't put too much fuel in there.
Yep, flip her down. The side stand not work.
All right.
That hit with force, man.
So put the plugs in and start it up before we put the airbox and all that back in.
Yep. There was definitely some water in there. So we got the whole bike put back together, and then she started right up. The only problem was when I looked in the oil sight glass, that oil was looking pretty milky. So the plan that developed was that Jason would take the rest of the crew and head off. And you can see here the boys are wearing their mosquito nets because the bugs were out in force. And I would go with Mark over to his cottage, which was nearby, and we would do an oil change or two. But before we could get to Mark's cottage, we had to get off this trail. And there was one more water crossing to do, and someone had walked across, and it was also a little deeper than usual. And at this point, my confidence was pretty shaky. So I decided I was going to let discretion be the better part of valor and just walk the bike across. So here I am just putt-putting across in first gear, and the water was deep enough out here that it pretty much fully swallowed that 21-inch front tire. So if you figure the rim's 21 inches, throw the tire on the top and the bottom, and that's a good 2 feet deep. Lots of rocks on the bottom, and on any other day I probably would have ridden it across, but I did not want to have to go through the process again that we had just done to strip off all the crap to get to those spark plugs and turn this bike upside down again. But the other boys were a little bit braver, and Jason made it across no problem. Here you can see Mark on the Africa Twin. So, yeah, that's deep, boys. And Marc-Olivier, Guillaume, and Gabriel had taken a bypass, kind of shot through the woods, and were going to meet us on the road. So with the rest of the boys in the capable hands of Jason as their tour leader, Mark and I were now on our own, and given the state of my oil, I decided to drive very gingerly. So we did take the back trails to get to Mark's cottage, just because it was about half the distance of going by road. And even that turned into a little mini adventure, because some of the trails we took were quite interesting. I wasn't really doing a lot of videotaping at this point. My mind was kind of just wondering on how I was going to get the bike home at this point. And that's when we came to this nice mud hole. Mark got off and decided to do the reconnaissance, and we could see there was this big central mud hole, water pond, whatever you want to call it. And people had been trying to bypass it on the right and left, and there was logs and all kinds of crap that people had thrown in there. And after his little foot stomp, Mark indicated that he thought this was going to be the best route. So off I went, and as soon as my front tire dropped off those logs, it was real deep and mucky. So I dismounted, and here you can see Mark rolling the front wheel. And if you've never done this, the technique of actually rolling the front wheel can work a lot better than just pulling. And then once we got the front wheel kind of up on the ledge, then Mark was able to grab the tug strap that I have above the fender, and with a little tug on that strap, when's he gonna? He should be grabbing it here. Oh, there he goes. He grabs it, and out we went. But one thing's for sure, we did not want to do this with the Africa Twin. And actually, what we found out was that straight through the puddle, the water was about 4 inches deep. Here you can see some of the nice trails that we took leading up to Mark's place. And strangely enough, despite the little calamity, it actually turned out to be quite a nice ride. We got to Mark's place, and he had various jugs of oil, because he has a little fleet of motorcycles, old and new. So we were quite happy that the Husqvarna only takes 1.7 liters. So we were able to fill it, run it, fill it, run it, fill it, run it. I think we did 3 times, and then we filled it one last time with some Castrol motorcycle oil he had kicking around. And then I rode home, and by the time I got home, the sight glass was clear and the oil was no longer milky. And I guess we'll call that the happy ending. So once again, if you liked the video, please hit the like. And if you want to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button, and then you'll be notified right away. And right beside that subscribe button is the little alarm bell. And if you hit that alarm bell, for sure you'll get a notification when a new video comes out. Head over to awesomeplayers.com, and you can buy one of our stickers, which are handy for devaluing your motorcycle or covering up the inevitable scratches that happen with going off-road. And don't forget, if you want to let us know what you're doing or see what we're doing, I know it's not in style, but Facebook is a good place to find us and let us know what's happening in your neck of the woods. So once again, thanks for watching another little adventure of the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club.